She came home pregnant. The test said 0%. From shock to lawyers too. I'm Tyler, 34. My wife, Madison, Maddie, 32, and I have a daughter, Lily, 6. We live in a small blue house with a lemon tree that never produced a single lemon, a metaphor I ignored for too long. The first weird thing was Maddie's phone. It used to live face up on the counter. Then it started traveling. Shower shelf. Bra drawer. Under a throw pillow like a squirrel stash. Notifications stopped previewing. She said work got intense, and HR told them to lock down devices. Okay, sure, corporate cybersecurity is a thing. But then Melanie started texting at midnight, and Melanie had a habit of sending fire emojis. Meanwhile, Lily was making these soft, kid-true announcements at breakfast. Mommy cried when you left for work. Mommy was on the floor. Mommy said she's sorry. I'd kiss Maddie's temple and ask if she was okay. She'd sigh and say, hormones? Or, don't worry, with that tight smile that tasted like pennies. Then came the aunt. 10 years, never met one, never heard one. Suddenly, Aunt Carrie in San Diego needed Maddie for a family emergency. She booked it same day. No return date. My mom, Diane, raised an eyebrow. My dad, Ken, went into quiet veteran mode, which is worse. On Maddie's side, her mom, Cheryl, texted me, give her space. Her stepdad, Rick, sent a thumbs up like we were confirming a DoorDash. That week lasted a year. Lily slept in our bed and flinched at shadows. I washed tiny socks and learned the choreography of ponytails. At night I wandered the house, inventorying the life we built. Framed Polaroids, 2 mugs that said good and morning, the lemon tree outside like a mute witness. I told myself I was being paranoid. Paranoia doesn't explain fire emojis. Maddie came back on a Friday with a paper bag of souvenirs and eyes that had forgotten how to land on mine. She hugged Lily like a parachute, then took a breath and told me she was pregnant. She was oddly brazen, angry and fragile at the same time. You wanted a second kid, she snapped, then softened, then cried. I heard myself say, okay, like I was stabilizing a tourniquet. That night, our baby's iPad chimed on the kitchen island, blue bubbles popping like fish eyes. Melanie again. I tapped it, and the iPad, bless its tattletale heart, showed me everything. The iPad lit up like a crime scene. Melanie, you taste like Friday. Fire emoji. Peach. A hotel pin dropped on a map 3 miles from our house. Then a picture of Maddie's hand, red nails I'd never seen, holding a rocks glass, gold ring turned inward so the camera caught only the glitter, not the vow. I didn't mean to read, I meant to glance. But the screen kept breathing and I kept drowning. The thread scrolled back months. Melanie wasn't a Melanie. The Apple ID on a shared calendar pinged. Chase W., Corporate Ops. I knew that name from stories. Chase is so efficient. Chase fixed my pivot tables. Chase hates carbs. The man was a spreadsheet with biceps. The messages were intimate without being explicit. A slow burn erotica of offices and stolen minutes. Phrases like, black silk under the blazer, and don't smudge my lipstick till the elevator doors close. A photo from the copy room, just silhouettes, her heel kicked up, his hand on the small of her back. Another from a boutique hotel, the corner of a bed, a city view, her bare shoulder, the strap of something lacy sliding away like a secret. It wasn't porn, it was worse. It was curated tenderness, quiet, expensive, practiced. There were Uber receipts time-stamped during Aunt Carrie week. Voice notes where she whispered, I can still smell your cologne on my hairbrush. A calendar block titled Q4 Forecast, that was actually a 2-hour window at the Marlin Hotel. And then the twist of the knife, a message from 2 weeks ago, Maddie, I'm late. Chase, take care of it. Maddie, what if I can't? Chase, this is too much drama for me. My hands shook so hard the iPad thought I was trying to screenshot everything. So I did. Airdropped the whole mess to my laptop, printed until the cheap ink bled. I found a photo of them in a bar booth. Her hair curled the way she used to for our anniversaries, his arm draped like he'd been rehearsing it his whole life. Caption, you make me feel feral. I felt like a glass sliding off a counter in slow motion. I checked the aunt's address. Wasn't real. San Diego trip? The hotel map pins lined up like runway lights. Marlin, Paloma, 10 keys. A perfume I didn't buy sat on our dresser, notes of vanilla and smoke, the afterglow of rented rooms. I put it to my nose and gagged. Lily patted in for water and saw the papers. I stacked them into a manila envelope like I was packing a parachute. The house hummed, the fridge, the AC, the lemon tree scratching the window. Maddie slept down the hall, hand draped over her stomach like a photo negative of a Madonna painting. That night I learned the exact sound a heart makes when it goes from maybe to no. It's not loud. It's a click like a deadbolt. I slid the envelope into my backpack. In the morning there would be a table, a ring, and a conversation no one ever wants to have. I set the table like a courtroom. Coffee mug, manila envelope, my ring. Saturday sun came in like it didn't know better. Maddie shuffled in wearing my college hoodie, bare legs, messy bun, weaponized innocence. She kissed my cheek, I didn't move. I slid the envelope across. She opened it, saw the screenshots, and for a heartbeat her face was stone. Then the performance began. What is this? Anger first, a flare. You spy on me now? She stacked the pages like a dealer, eyes skimming hotel pins. Melanie, the hand with the rocks glass. This is out of context. Then softer, baby. I was lonely. Then the tears practiced as scales. She came around the table, dropped to her knees so fast the chair squealed. Please don't do this. Please. I messed up. It was just flirting. Okay, more than flirting, but it meant nothing. Her palms were on my thighs, warm and shaking. I wanted to climb out of my own body. Who is Chase? Coworker. He's nothing. He's noise. She looked up like a drowning person. I was trying to feel wanted. You've been distant since Lily. That old script. And the trip? Aunt Carrie? I asked. She blinked, a long stall. My mom told me not to tell you. Of course she did. Cheryl, queen of omens and side eyes. The pregnancy? I asked, voice gone sandpaper. Her face crumpled, but not with truth. It's yours, she said too quickly. I panicked. I said things. I told him I was late to scare him off because he kept pushing me to. Her mouth kept moving, the lies changed temperature. We didn't even, not really. A beat. Okay, once. But I stopped it. I swear on Lily. She clutched my hand like a life ring, mascara carving rivers. Why did he tell you to take care of it? I asked. She flinched, there it was. Because he's trash, she snapped, anger slashing back. He freaked when I said I might be pregnant. He blocked me. I went to his parents' house because I wanted him to take responsibility. The audacity stunned me. You asked him to marry you, I said. She looked away. I asked him to be a man. Silence. The fridge hummed. The lemon tree scraped the glass like a pen. I slid my ring toward her. I'm not your safety net. She folded in on herself, kneeling, forehead to my knee like prayer. Please. I'll quit. I'll change my number. I'll do therapy twice a week. I'll delete everything. I don't want to lose our family. She reached for the ring, then for my zipper, desperate, undignified. I stood up so fast the chair toppled. Stop. She sobbed, ugly and loud. You can't do this to me, she gasped, switching keys mid-cry. You're abandoning your pregnant wife? I'm leaving the room, I said and did. Her wailing followed me down the hall, bouncing off the pictures, a siren that wouldn't shut off. I locked the bathroom door and stared at my face in the mirror, pale, older, somebody else's father. I counted to 100. Somewhere between 90 and 100, acceptance slid in like a tide. Not forgiveness. Not yet. Just the knowledge that the ground had changed forever. I slept in the guest room and learned every knot in that lumpy mattress. In the morning, Maddie came in with swollen eyes and a speech that had clearly been workshopped in the mirror. I'm sorry for how this made you feel. Not, I'm sorry I did it. She wanted couples therapy. I said yes because I wanted a referee, not a miracle. Session 1, she leaned into the couch like it was a stage. Tyler checked my devices. I felt violated. The therapist raised an eyebrow. I said, I checked our 6-year-old's iPad. It showed my wife at the Marlin Hotel. Maddie cried into a tissue like it had personally wronged her. I was lonely, she repeated, the world's cheapest alibi. At home, she tried to turn tenderness into spackle. Fresh flowers. Pancakes shaped like hearts. Then the whiplash. Rage if I checked a notification, rage if I didn't. She wanted me to swallow the story whole. That Chase was a hiccup, that the pregnancy was mine, that we were lucky the storm had passed. It hadn't. On Tuesday, Cheryl called to advise me to man up and be a provider. Rick chimed in from the background with something about, women need excitement. My mom, Diane, came over with casseroles and battlefield calm. You're not crazy, she said, tucking Lily's hair behind her ear. My dad, Ken, fixed a leaky faucet without a word and hugged me longer than usual at the door. Then the neighborhood chorus started. Maddie's friends sent texts ranging from, everybody messes up, to, if you'd been more affectionate. One actually wrote, Don't throw away a family over a moment. I pinned the hotel timestamps to a calendar and wondered how many moments make a second life. Maddie said she'd quit her job. 2 days later she had to go in for a handoff. She left in a white blouse I recognized from their bar photo and came home smelling like that smoke vanilla perfume. Traffic, she said. The clock said otherwise. I said nothing and felt something inside me harden. We went to an OB appointment because I wanted facts. The math didn't sing. HCG was rising but dating was fuzzy. The doctor gave us a window that overlapped both my life and her hotel runway lights. In the parking lot, Maddie grabbed my arm. "This is our baby," she insisted. The way she said "our" felt like a theft. That night she admitted she'd gone to Chase's parents' house. I needed him to step up. Translation: she wanted a backup plan. "They slammed the door," she said, half offended, half impressed. "His mom called me a homewrecker." She laughed once, a short, ugly sound, then cried and slid down the cabinet to her knees again. "I'm trying, Ty. Please. I'll do anything." "Start with the truth," I said. She nodded, eyes big, and told me another lie. Forgiveness looked good on paper. On Sunday I made a list titled "Rules If We Try." It felt like sandbags against a flood I already knew would win, but I stacked them anyway. Full phone transparency. No contact with Chase, ever. Separate bedrooms until DNA. Paternity test at birth. Couples therapy or we file. Maddie read it like a menu she hadn't ordered. "This is punitive," she snapped, then softened so fast it gave me whiplash. "I'll do it. Anything." She handed me her phone with trembling theater hands. I scrolled. Instagram DMs gone. Text to Melanie wiped clean. Recently deleted, empty. I checked iCloud backups and found a second Apple ID I didn't recognize. Maddie.Wild. When I asked, she smiled without teeth. Old account. College. Nothing. Another lie dressed in yoga pants. I emailed a sanitized packet of screenshots to myself and to an attorney whose website looked like a mahogany desk. Just in case, I told my reflection. Then I wrote one more email, to corporate ethics, anonymous. Relationship between peers, hotels during work hours, favoritism risk. I didn't want blood, I wanted a record. Petty? Maybe. Legal? Yes. Monday, an unknown number called. A woman's voice, clipped and steady. "Is this Tyler?" "I'm Ava." "I'm," long breath, "Chase's fiancé." Fiancé. The word detonated in my ear. She'd found my anonymous email in a forwarded thread and followed the breadcrumbs. We traded dates. Her calendar overlapped mine like a bad palindrome. She whispered, "He told me she was just mentoring him," and I almost laughed. We agreed on one thing, no more surprises. She asked for proof. I sent only what showed the facts, not Maddie's body, because somewhere a woman I didn't know deserved mercy I wasn't getting. That night, Maddie found the guest bed made and lost her mind. "You're humiliating me." She slammed the door, cried, then slid down to her knees again on the hallway carpet, clutching my shins. "Don't leave me alone tonight." I almost broke. I almost forgot the hotel pins and the perfume and the way she'd asked another man to marry her. I tucked her into our bed, sat in a chair like a security guard, and watched her sleep with one eye open and the lemon tree scratching at the window like a metronome. Tuesday, HR called Maddie in for a chat. She came home vibrating. "You ratted me out," she spat, mascara sharp as ink. I said nothing. She paced, furious, then fell apart, full body sobs, snot, the whole storm. "He ghosted me," she hiccuped. "I went to his parents because I panicked." Rick said men respect grand gestures. Rick, of course. Her stepdad who once borrowed our savings, temporarily, for a business that never existed. Skeletons kicked open their doors. There were late notices in a junk drawer, a secret credit card with hotel charges and lingerie boutiques we never walked into together. A shoebox of old Polaroids. Maddie with a pixie cut and a danger smile, boys' hands on her hips, captions like saints and sinners. The old account wasn't old, it was active last month. Wednesday, Ava texted, "He's denying everything. I'm moving out." 10 minutes later, Chase himself called me from a blocked number and hissed, "Control your wife." I laughed into the receiver, black, humorless, and hung up. That night, Maddie stood in the kitchen island light, proud chin, wet eyes. "We can reset," she said. "New vows. New us." I held up my rule number 2 like a mirror. "Then start by telling me you blocked him." Silence. The fridge hummed. She looked at the floor. That was my answer. Thursday morning I put my calm face on and did the adult admin of heartbreak. I called a lawyer, Ms. Ortega, who spoke in neat boxes. Separation, custody, financial disclosures, temporary orders. Stop playing detective, she said. Start documenting. I forwarded her the timeline, the hotel receipts, the HR call, the OB notes. She replied with a file tree and a steadiness I wanted to rent forever. For my one act of revenge, I kept it small and surgical. No screaming. No viral posts. I wrote a group email to only the people who already had their noses in our living room, our parents and siblings. Subject line, pausing the marriage. 3 sentences, bullet points, dates. I love my daughter. I'm stepping back to protect my mental health. Please minimize speculation around Lily. Attached, a single page with hotel timestamps and the phrase coworker boundary violation. That's it. No names. No bodies. Enough truth to stop the whisper campaign. I hit send and felt a knot loosen. Diane wrote back first, proud of you. Dinner at 7. Ken texted a heart and, call me if you need a ride. Cheryl responded with a novel about forgiveness and boys will be boys but girls need thrills, which made my brain fold in half. Rick CC'd everyone a meme about alpha energy, and then asked if I could spot him $600 until Friday. I didn't answer. Maddie read the email on her phone and went feral. You humiliated me, she screamed, then dropped into sobs mid-syllable and slid to the floor, grabbing my ankles like a second-act curtain call. Please Ty, please, I'll quit tomorrow, I'll block him now. I held out my palm. Show me. She opened her messages. Chase's thread was gone. Blocked? I asked. Deleted, she admitted, eyes on the tile. I walked to the guest room. That night Ava called again. He says you're manipulating evidence, she said, voice shredded. He says Maddie is obsessed with him and you're jealous. The tiny part of me that still wanted this to be salvageable died quietly. I'm sorry, I told her. She asked, does it ever stop hurting? I said, yes, but not today. Friday, Ms. Ortega filed for a temporary separation and suggested I move out for a month to cool the war zone. I wanted Maddie gone, but Lily needed her bed. So I packed a duffel and a box of prints and drove to my parents' house, the lemon tree receding in the rear view like a witness who'd said enough. Maddie stood on the porch barefoot, mascara tracks on her cheeks, hands on the bump that might or might not be mine. She didn't say goodbye, she mouthed don't you dare like a curse. At my parents' place, I slept in my old room under a poster of a band that broke up a decade ago. Diane put tea on my nightstand and Saturday, you are not the sum of her choices, she said, a sentence I wrote down on a sticky note and stuck to my wallet. Ken knocked once and handed me a dusty tackle box. Fish with me in the morning, he said. I hadn't touched a rod since college. The invitation felt like a door I could walk through. The next day, I woke to a string of Maddie's messages. Love bombs, threats, bargains. We can be stronger than ever. If you leave, you prove you never loved me. I'll tell Lily you abandoned us. The last one made my stomach flip. I typed, deleted, typed again and finally wrote, we talked through lawyers. I'll FaceTime Lily at 7. Sent. Out on the lake with my dad, the water was glass. We didn't talk about hotels or Chase or DNA. We talked about knots and sunlight and how fish don't care about your feelings. For 2 hours nothing hurt. Then my phone vibrated. A blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. Later I listened, a man breathing, then a whisper, you won't win. Chase again, brave behind a mask. I saved it. I saved everything. And for the first time since the iPad lit up, I felt the faint outline of a future that didn't include crawling on broken promises just to say I tried. I went back to the house on Sunday with Diane and a couple of banker's boxes. Ms. Ortega said, in and out. Essentials only. No shouting, no creativity. I repeated it like a spell walking up the porch. No shouting, no creativity. Maddie met us at the door in an oversized sweater and war paint mascara. You can't just strip our home, she said, chin high. Then, switch, she started weeping, slid down the jamb and grabbed my wrists. Please don't take the coffee maker. I need mornings to feel normal. It would have been comic if it wasn't my life. I packed clothes, toiletries, my grandpa's watch, the good/morning mugs. Okay, Petty, I left her good. In the closet I found a shoebox I hadn't seen before. A burner phone, a Polaroid of Maddie and Chase on the Marlin balcony, and a receipt for lingerie that cost what our car insurance does. Under that, a folded letter from Rick, co-signed with her on a short-term investment. The numbers made my neck go hot. I took photos, closed the box and put it back. No shouting, no creativity. In Lily's room I paused. The lemon tree scratched the window like it was trying to get in. I took her favorite stuffed narwhal, the one with the crooked horn, and a framed picture of the three of us at the county fair, sunburnt, sticky, happy in a way that felt like a rumor now. I sat on the floor and let myself cry for 5 minutes, a timer on my phone so grief didn't eat the whole day. When I came out, Maddie was in the kitchen on speaker with Cheryl. "He's stealing," Cheryl said, tinny and righteous. "Document everything." Maddie hung up, saw my face and changed tactics mid-breath. She fell to her knees again, palms open. "Ty, I'll sell the cardigans, I'll sell my rings, I'll sell my hair if you want, just don't leave us." She pressed her forehead to my hands like prayer. I lifted her gently and stepped away. Then the surprise, a knock. Ava stood on the porch, wind-chapped, eyes like a storm warning. "I came for the truth," she said. Maddie's mouth fell open. "You have no right." Ava held up a folder, hotel point summaries, Chase's calendar, an email where he called Maddie, my quarterly performance bonus. The three of us stood there like a Greek tragedy reboot, everyone wronged, no one whole. Maddie lunged for the papers, then folded in on herself, gasping. "I'm cramping," she said, hand on her stomach, eyes flicking to me to see if I'd flinch. I did. Diane called 911. In the ER, fluorescent and cruel, the monitor beeped like it was judging us. The doctor said, "Threatened miscarriage, and hydration." I stared at the ceiling tiles and felt guilt crawl over rage like ivy. I held her water cup anyway because that's what my hands know how to do. On the drive back she was quiet, then whispered, "If this is your baby, you'll hate yourself forever." It landed like a trap and a prophecy. I didn't answer. I pulled into the driveway, helped her to the couch and set the remote where she could reach it. No shouting, no creativity. Before I left, I did one ritual I'd promised myself. I stood in our bedroom, opened the windows and let the lemon-scented night crawl in. I stripped the bed, sealed the sheets in a contractor bag, changed the pillowcases and vacuumed the floor in slow, satisfying lines. I wasn't burning anything, I was airing out a tomb. I placed my ring on the dresser and took a long look around. The room looked exactly the same and nothing like mine. Back at my parents', I took the tackle box to the garage and started sanding an old cedar plank Ken had been saving for someday. The rhythm, push, pull, breathe, emptied my head. When the wood warmed and the grain rose, I saw a shape I could make with my hands that wasn't an apology or a compromise. I wasn't ready to call it joy, but it wasn't pain either. It was a beginning that smelled like cedar and dust, and for the first time all week I slept without dreaming of hotel elevators. The first good day was stupid small. I planed the cedar plank until the grain looked like topography, wiped it with mineral oil, and it went from dull to honey right in my hands. I decided to build a bench. A place to sit that didn't lie to me. I made a routine. Wake up, run 2 miles badly, eggs, FaceTime Lily at 7 so she could show me her snack, always grapes, then work, then sawdust. Therapy Wednesdays. Fishing with Ken Saturdays. I deleted nothing from my phone, added nothing dramatic to social, and said no to every friend who wanted beers to bash the witch. I was done exploding. I wanted to become boring in the healthiest way. Maddie swung between brazen and broken. One day she texted, "You'll come crawling back." Same afternoon, a selfie from our porch steps, mascara slick, captioned, "I can't breathe without you." When I came by for Lily, she would sometimes get on her knees right there on the welcome mat, palms up like offering me my own keys, begging for just one dinner, one night, one anything. The next visit she'd smirk and say, "Ava called me." She's pathetic. It was like arguing with a radio that switched stations by itself. Unexpected subplot. HR actually did their job. Chase took a leave. Maddie quit before they could push. Cheryl posted a Facebook paragraph about modern marriage that read like a horoscope for narcissists. Rick texted me that he'd found an angel investor for his concept barcade, attached a photo of a strip mall for lease, then, casual as weather, asked if my credit could help. I blocked him and slept like a man who finally found the off switch. Lily was the compass. We colored. We made grilled cheese with too much butter. I taught her the names of tools like they were dinosaurs. "This is a rasp," I said. "It makes things smoother if you're patient." She rasped the air and said, "Like people." I almost lost it. Ms. Ortega filed temporary custody, week on/week off with midweek dinner. It felt clean on paper and messy in practice. On Maddie weeks, I went to a woodworking class at a community maker space. I was terrible, which was delicious. A guy named Marcos taught me dovetails and how not to bleed on the good oak. Everyone there knew I was going through it without me saying so. Grief leaves a watermark. They gave me coffee, nods, and the gift of not asking. One night, after a long plane of silence in the shop, I booked a long weekend to Big Bend. Just me, a rented Jeep, stars that didn't care about my timeline. I told Diane and she packed trail mix like I was deploying. Before I left, I installed the bench outside my parents' kitchen window. It wasn't perfect. The left leg wobbled like a drunk flamingo. I shimmed it and called it character. On the road, I kept the radio low and my thoughts lower. Somewhere outside Marfa, a freight train carved the horizon and I pulled over to watch all those cars shoulder their weight without apology. I wanted that. Not revenge, not forgiveness on command, just the quiet competence of motion. I texted Lily a picture of a lizard and she sent back a voice note, "Come home soon, Daddy. Mommy is sad again." The desert wind went right through me. I sat on a warm rock, let it, and didn't shatter. When I got back from Big Bend, the sky in my chest had more blue in it. Not clear, just more blue. Ms. Ortega had news packaged in tidy bullets. Temporary orders approved, disclosure deadlines set, mediation in 6 weeks. She asked, "Do you want to pursue non-invasive paternity testing now?" I said yes because my brain couldn't breathe until the box was checked. Maddie fought it like a cat in a bathtub. First angry, "How dare you question me?" Then tear-slicked, "If you loved me you wouldn't need a test." Then the kneeling in her foyer, hands on my belt like absolution could be bartered. I stared at a smudge on the wall and repeated, "It's a boundary, not a verdict." She signed. The kit went out. The desert stayed with me while we waited. Skeletons kept rattling. In Discovery, Ortega found a second credit line. Maddie opened the week of Aunt Carrie, maxed out on boutique hotels and consulting fees paid to Rick Shell LLC, R&R Lifestyle Ventures. Registered to a P.O. box next to a vape shop. Cheryl wrote me a 4-screen text about "for better or worse," sprinkled with Bible verses and exactly zero apology. Ken took one look at the spreadsheet and muttered, "War teaches you this. People show you who they are when they think nobody's counting." Diane put a casserole in my hands and said, "Eat while you read." Ava moved out of Chase's. She sent me a photo of a key on the counter with a single daisy. "We're done," she wrote. I sent back a thumbs up and the one mercy I had left, "It gets quieter." HR apparently agreed. Rumor said Chase's leave became separation. I didn't gloat. I sanded the bench leg until it stood level without shims. The test results came in on a Wednesday that smelled like rain. I opened the email at my parents' kitchen table. Probability of paternity, 0%. The words didn't explode, they emptied. All the ifs and maybes and bargains dissolved into plain water. I forwarded the PDF to Ortega, then sat very still while my brain refiled the last 6 months under a new label, "Not mine." I drove over with printed copies because I'm old-fashioned when the ground is this shaky. Maddie answered in a satin robe, eyeliner perfect, like the truth would be easier in costume. I handed her the envelope. She scanned, blinked, scanned again. Her face did the switch, rage to pleading in one heartbeat. "Tests are wrong all the time," she lied. Then, "It doesn't matter whose it is if you're a good man." Then the floor again, knees, palms up, tears like a faucet. "Please, Tyler. I can't do this alone." I'm sorry, I believe you're sorry you lost," I said and surprised myself with how steady it came out. Cheryl burst in mid-scene, voice pitched for theater. "Family isn't blood, it's choice," she declared, then jabbed a finger at me. "A real man steps up." Rick hovered behind her smelling like cologne samples and bad ideas. "We got a barcade to open," he said to no one. My mom, who had driven me and was waiting at the curb, stepped onto the porch and said in a voice I've only heard twice, "Enough." The house actually quieted. We mediated. Maddie tried for the house. I traded equity for debt avoidance and a parenting plan etched in granite. Joint legal, primary physical with her until the baby's birth. Then revisited, given the not mine. Holiday rotations. No disparagement clauses. Ortega slid papers across tables and turned fireworks into fountain pens. That night I moved into a small apartment with brick that shed dust like snow. I put the cedar bench under the window and the good mug on a hook. Marcos from the makerspace dropped off scrap maple, for whatever's next. I bought a cheap plant I'd probably kill and a rug that didn't match anything on purpose. I hung the county fair photo low enough for Lily to touch when she visited. The first night alone I slept like a docked boat, still moving but tethered. Maddie sent one more volley, an audio message of breathy apology and promises. "We can be new people," she said. I hit save, not reply. Then I set my alarm for early because the shop opened at 8, the wood didn't lie, and somewhere under these hands a different life was taking shape. Maddie had the baby in late spring. I found out because Cheryl texted me a photo of a tiny fist and the caption, "You missed your moment." I stared at that fist a long time. It looked like every baby's fist, determined, blank, unruined. I typed congratulations and set my phone face down. Later, Lily told me the baby's name like it was a secret treasure. We added a new rule to our parenting plan. I'm Uncle Energy when I'm in the house. Kind, distant, not pretending. Hardest easy thing I've ever done. The apartment slowly became mine. I built a maple coffee table with joints that actually fit. I burned a thin line of inlay around the edge, one dark ring to mark the year everything split and everything began. Marcos slapped it once and said, "Clean work." I took a weekend trip to the coast and let the gulls be obnoxious on my behalf. I learned to cook a steak without apologizing to it. I said yes when a woman at the makerspace, June's soft laugh tattoo of a paper airplane, asked if I wanted to grab tacos with the class. We ate on a bench, not mine, and talked about our dumbest mistakes like we were trading baseball cards. We didn't kiss. It still counted. Maddie's text softened over time. Less lava, more mist. The begging slowed, the threats went quiet, and a new tone crept in, inventory. Daycare, pediatrician, Rick, taking a break in Arizona. Cheryl posted Bible verses that accidentally sounded like rebukes of everything she'd advised. Chase evaporated from the city like a bad magic trick. Ava sent me a photo of a new apartment plant thriving in sunlight. Told you it gets quieter, she wrote. I sent back my bench under my window, a book on it, a mug of coffee, a strip of mourning the color of forgiveness. The revenge I thought I wanted turned into a punchline for a story I don't tell that often. The best part wasn't the HR fallout or the group email, it was how boring my life became in the sexiest ways. Rent paid on time, shoes by the door, a lemon I bought actually tasting like lemon. Lily learned to sand with the grain. When the bench finally stopped wobbling, she patted it and said, "Stable, like a verdict." On our last day of mediation, Ortega slid the final decree across the table. "Sign here." The pen felt heavy and then light. We walked out strangers with a shared calendar. In the parking lot, Maddie said, "You're not the man I married." I said, "Me neither," and meant it as a benediction. So here's my Reddit advice for whatever it's worth. Believe the quiet clicks. Your gut isn't jealous, it's a smoke alarm. Document, don't detonate. Courts respect dates, not decibels. Pick one petty justice, then put the sword down. The rest of your life needs both hands. Build something with your hands. A bench, a garden, a playlist, anything that lives outside the wreckage. Kids are compass needles. Point yourself where you'd want them to walk. And when the test comes back 0%, let the grief be a clean edge, not a serrated one. It still twinges. Some mornings the lemon tree in my memory scratches the window and I feel the old ache. Then Lily FaceTimes me with grapes in a purple bowl, and the apartment smells like coffee and cedar, and I remember, I'm not who hurt me. I'm the man who sanded a wobble out of his life until it stood on its own. I have many other stories. Go to my channel, subscribe so you don't lose us. Give me a thumbs up.